All right, everybody. So I was asked by a guy at work about learning the guitar and the do's and don'ts, things you should do and things you should not do on the guitar. I guess for things that you should do first, learn the notes of each string, all 6 strings, and what they are. So starting from low string to high string, you got in standard tuning E. The next string is A. The next string is D. The next string is G. The next string is B. The next string is E. So you got 2 E's, a low E and a high E. Now the next step that you should do is concentrate on learning the notes on the neck. Now I'm not going to go through every string, but we'll go through the 2 that are easiest to memorize. You have your low E right here and your high E right there. So your first note is E. Fret 1 right here. F. The next dot, G. The next dot, A. The next dot, B. C. The next in the chronological order, C at the 8th fret, D at 10, and then E at 12. After you reach 12, it all repeats all the way down to the 24th, which is E. This string, the high E, exactly the same. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. We'll do the rest of the neck. F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And now learning chords. You can go on the internet and type in guitar chord diagrams, and it will pull up the diagrams for every basic chord on the guitar. There are a lot, but the most must-know ones are E, open low E, 2nd fret on the 5th string, A, which will be a B. The next one is there. Then your next one, that's E major. You take this finger off, this one, you got E minor. Then you're going to have A. Some people do it this way. That's A major. I was taught by my dad to do it like this. That's A major. A minor is just like your E major shape. This. But you bring it down. Each finger comes down 1 string. Start with this string open. That's A minor. The next chord will be D. So open D, G string at the 2nd fret, B string at the 3rd fret, and then high E will be 2nd fret. And then D minor. Then your next chord that you would move to would be C. I don't know C minor other than this chord. This is C minor here. But it might take a while to get to this point in learning your chords. Then there's G. I do my G with these two fingers on the high strings. You can take this off and it will still be a G. I just think this gives it a nicer sound. And then there is the one chord that will stop almost everybody from wanting to learn guitar. The F chord. It's just like your C chord. And the way you have to move your hand around. Sometimes your thumb will be up here like this. Other times when you do other chords, it will be behind the neck. Kind of back there like that. And if you look at the G chord, see where my thumb wants to go? It's just like that. If you look on this side of the guitar, if you look down at your hand, you should be able to see light. If you have it too choked up, like this, you might get some deadened strings. I have been playing for 20 years, so it's really hard for me to struggle with it because I've done it for so many years. So now we'll get into the don'ts. What you don't want to do on the guitar is pick incredibly hard when you're first learning. And you can, it makes it really loud, but if you want to do it where you hear every note precisely, pick lightly. And this is your basic picking technique. It shouldn't be back here and straight down like this. You should come up to about here and let your hand go this way. So that's another don't. Don't pick really hard and don't make it all down. And mostly it's in your wrist. You want to stay relaxed. Press the strings down just enough to get the note. If you press really hard, listen to it. Hear how it's slightly going high? That is too much pressure. You can put divots in your frets and that can cost you money. So just lightly. It may take a while because you have to build calluses up on your fingers. Then another don't is jumping into something that's incredibly difficult beyond your playing at the point that you're at. You know, you can't like pick a guitar up for the first time and try to be like because you don't really know what it takes to play stuff like that. And let's see what else. There are different ways to play certain chords, like this E chord. You can play it right there. You can play it here. You can play it here. You can play it here. You can play it up here. That's minor. There's all kinds of different places to play E. There's E major right there too. Here's E minor. Then you get into this. Suspended chords, they sound nice. About time for new strings, but I'm trying to think of anything else I'm not the greatest teacher when it comes to the guitar, but you can back this video up if you choose to watch it or not, and just kind of listen to it. Go on the internet, get you some chord diagrams, and it will look up explanations on how to read those. What you're going to have is a big black bar in it. The big black bar represents this part of the guitar, the nut. Then you're going to have lines that run that represent your strings. Then you will have rectangles in between, which are your frets. And then you will have round circles on each of these strings. and each fret. And they will have numbers on them, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That refers to your fingers. What finger goes where? Finger number 1, finger number 2, number 3, and number 4. In the pinky, you gotta strengthen it up. Learn to use it. Because it's the weakest finger. So when you start playing, if you get to where you want to play lead guitar, and you want to do something like that, you're gonna have to really get some dexterity. Then there's muscle memory for changing your chords. The way you do this is you pick 2 chords. Say G and C. You see how I'm doing that? That stops the strings from making noise. So you won't be able to do it like this when you first start out. But the more you keep doing it, the more your fingers are going to learn what they're doing. And eventually you will get it to go. Now we'll do a little bit of a warm-up exercise. Jeez. So the warm-up I use usually before I start playing, before I start making videos, if I warm up, will be this. You start on 1 fret on 1 string, low E, 1st fret. Put your finger in each fret. Do it up and down like that, and then you'll go this way, go up a fret. And back down. Do this until you reach the 12th fret. Then once you reach the 12th, you stop and go again. Do that for roughly 10 minutes, 10-20 minutes before you actually start to play. And that way you can get your hand warmed up and make some of this stuff a little bit easier. And as you progress, you can play songs. And the chords that you learn, your basic chords, G, C, D, F, F, E, A minor, E minor, D minor. You can play almost anything that you would hear. There's a Metallica song that you can play. It's very easy, and it involves the low E, the 3rd string, the G, the B string, and the high E. And it's simply open strings. That's the first thing I taught my nephew how to play. And one of the first things I learned, if I can play it now, like that. It's been a long time. Wipeout, I used to know how to play that really, really good. I can't remember where it starts. So we'll talk about that. Hand positioning. When you play the guitar and you want to put your fingers down, try to put your finger as close to the silver bar, the fret, as you can get it. Because the string is only ringing and vibrating from this point forward. Back here, there's no sound. It only vibrates from this point forward. How you hold your pick. There are many, many different approaches. This is how I hold my pick. I lay it on my finger like that. Put my thumb right on the top of it. Like that. And if you start playing metal guitar, you want to angle it a little bit on the string so it slices through the strings. But you don't have to worry about that for strumming. For strumming, it's down, up, down motion. there's many different ways of doing that too. You can do down, up, down. Or you can do 2. There's all kinds of different experimentation that you can do. And, developing your practice. If you want to practice your chords, practice for 20 minutes. Take you a break for maybe an hour. And come back and see if you can still do the chords that you learned. And try to learn them with the diagrams first. Get them good. And then after you do that for a day or 2, or maybe a week, take the diagram away. See if you can memorize it like that. Stay relaxed in your hands, relaxed in here, in your arm, and your picking hand. And one other thing about it, like I mentioned before, don't try to squeeze it really hard, because the harder you fight with the guitar, the more it's gonna give resistance. And then other don'ts. For me, man, like, people, when you start playing the guitar and you start playing for people, they're gonna tell you, it would be cool if you learned this, it'd be cool if you learned that, it'd be really cool if you learned how to do this technique. The way I see it, man, learn what you want to learn. Play what you want to play. Don't play the guitar to please everybody else in their taste in music. You play what you like. Like, there's guys out there that don't want you to do the sweet picking stuff, all that. Or play that really fast part. Stuff like that. Don't pay attention to that. Play what you want to play. I mean, even if it is just up here. This section of the neck, from here to here, is called the money section. Because that's where all the most popular songs were written. From here and down, for all this, that's the nerd section. People that want to nerd out. Let's turn the compressor on. Oh man, that makes it sound better. Ooh, I was going to talk about something else, and I lost it. Oh yeah, getting into scales. You will find one scale in all music that is the most useful and a must-know for every guitar player. The pentatonic minor scale. I always do it in A. So 5th fret, low E. Then your next is going to be your 8th fret. Every guitar player needs to know that scale, and everywhere you move it, if you start here, the frets are all the same. This pentatonic box. See how it's kind of squared out and it looks like a box? Thousands and thousands of awesome riffs, really cool songs have all been written using that box. Such as, let's see. That's Led Zeppelin, I believe. And then you can play really cool, like, riffs in it, metal riffs. So, that's another thing we can talk about. chords for punk rock music or any other rock music. Power chords. They are a 2-note chord. G, right here on the 3rd fret of the low E, and the 5th fret on the 5th string. These are movable chords. You can write really cool stuff with these. Get bored of that, take it down a string. Just drop your fingers right down to the next string set. And then the most common, the E5 power chord. Open E, 2nd fret on the 5th string. Play the 2 strings, top 2 strings together. And once you get that down, you can play metal for days. Doesn't matter how fast you play it, just play. And then that same principle for this chord. Drop it down a string and hit this string open. Leave out your low E. Don't mess with it. Just these. And then the kind of unmentioned one that people never really talk about, the next string down. G string, 2nd fret. D string open. And then one thing I need to talk about real quick, tuning the guitar. How would you go about tuning it if you don't have an electronic tuner? Buy yourself an electronic tuner like that one. This is a Chord, the CA1 chromatic Chord tuner. It's what I use to tune my guitar. You'll turn it on. There'll be a display. You can't see the display. And if you plug this into your guitar without the amp, it will register here. There's a 0 in the middle. You get that right on that 0, that means you're in tune. So if you don't have that, the way I do it is take the 5th string, or the 5th fret, 6th string, right there, and see if it matches your open A. That's in tune. If I drop this tuner, now it's out of tune. Turn it until it matches. Turn it this way. That's how you tune one. And then you repeat that for the next one. We're good there. The next one. We're good there. The next string, you're gonna have to back up a fret. We're good there. Then you're gonna go back to the 5th. We're good. How do you tell? Perfect E. Intonation. You need to adjust that if need be. You can take it to a tech, to a music store. They can adjust your intonation for you, get it intonated good, so that all these chords sound in tune up the neck. Because you can play your C here, and go way up here, and it might sound out of tune because your intonation's off. The way you would check that is harmonics. How do you do a harmonic? Lay your finger right on the fret in front of the double dots. Don't press down. That's not what you're going for. You're going for a chime. You just barely touch it. check your intonation with that, you would play the harmonic and then play the fretted 12th note to see if they match. And look at your tuner. Use your tuner for this. If your ear isn't quite good, use your tuner for it. The note's in tune, open. The harmonic is in tune. Then you hit your fretted note. If it is this way or that way, that's the way that this saddle right here needs to move. It's probably a little advanced for do's and don'ts, but if you're going to record playing guitar and you want to record yourself, make sure your guitar is intonated. I've got one under the bed right now that the intonation is terrible on. But I leave it alone because it's cheap, a cheaper guitar. And I don't plan to record anything. If I'm going to record, I'll do it with this guitar or my red Joe Satriani guitar. Or my good old Prestige in the floor. Different kind of chord. That's a movable shape. Metallica's Unforgiven. That's the opening. And then to learn melody lines, that one is pick out things like that. Really simple. Start really simple. Don't rush into anything. Don't jump the gun. And all these chords and stuff you start to learn for the guy at work, if you watch this, it is going to take time to learn. This is not all going to happen in 3 days or a week or a month, maybe not even a year. The most important thing about practicing the guitar is consistency. When you get off work or you got a time on the weekends, practice for an hour a day and do it every day of the weekend. And then the next week, do it again. Consistency breeds excellence. And I've been playing for 20 years. I used to practice for 8 hours a day, and I'm still not as good as I want to be. And I'm not the greatest of teachers. That's kind of the hurdles that I encountered, was gripping too hard, not getting my chords to, not getting them to work like that. This one could never get to happen. The D, I would grip really hard and turn my hand this way, and it don't work. But you turn your wrist a little bit, stay loose. You shouldn't feel the back of the neck in this section of your hand. See how my finger goes up under there? If you get too closed in, you might get 2 or 3 notes. But this one's going to be slightly muted. That's another thing about the guitar that we need to talk about too. Proper muting. Good distortion can give you the reason why you should mute. Just turn the volume down. If you don't mute your strings, you hear that? You hit it, it's taking off. It's making all kinds of racket. Mute here, like that, and use the various parts of your hand. The pads of your fingers back here, the tips of your fingers to mute certain strings you're not playing, so that you're not getting undue noise. harder things to master on the guitar is proper muting, because it can sound really ugly if you just you rip at a chord and I properly mute. It's just a habit. It's muscle memory, all of it. But if you don't properly mute, and you gotta change your chords. You get all this racket going on, a bunch of like unwanted sound. So that's about all I know right now to do. I can think of other topics to go through, and I'll put those up too. But for now, that's about all I have. I hope it helps. And if you want to learn, you want to start the journey of learning the guitar, just be patient with it, be persistent, and consistent with your practice. Because the more time you put into this thing, the more rewarding it's going to be in the give back. And you could change somebody's life. Oh, by the way, the chord stuff. Once you get your chords down and you learn them, to start changing them, the best band that I've ever figured out to learn from, AC/DC. Almost all their songs are open chords like this. And it will really teach you how to change your chords around. Like it's been a long time. This part I wouldn't recommend until you get a little bit, up there. But that band, a lot of their songs, man, they're chord based. There's no crazy riffage going on like. There's none of that stuff in their music. It's all just. That's their most common chord progression, G, D, and A. The occasional E in there. That's about all I have for now. I hope it helps. And if you watch this, let me know at work if there's something else you want to know about. And I'll try to do something with it, and I'll put it up for you. Thanks for watching, everybody.